Hello class, this is our 5th project of 7. We're going to be painting some Christmas ornaments. The example is going to be using a purple, blue, and green scheme, but you'll be able to choose kind of what you want to do. We're going to start with our alizarin crimson, turquoise blue, sap green, cobalt violet, carbon black for the hanger. We're also going to need a masking fluid pen, kneaded eraser, spray bottle, water droplets, your set of brushes, pencil, ruler, and I've already pre-traced the design here and put the masking fluid on it, so we don't need to wait for it to dry. Let's get started. Ta-da! Can we hear that? Now don't forget, we need 3 drops of water per 1 drop of paint because it's so highly concentrated. Kind of nice. I have done that for you ahead of time. I've also wet the paper. So now all we need to do is drop in the first color, which is the purple. What shade of purple did we use? Alizarin crimson. And it's just going to flow. You're just going to let the water kind of do its thing. Brush it around. I like that nice clean edge. So I'm going to get the clean edge, move that paint around. And what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that there's a light source coming from the upper left-hand side, which means the upper left-hand side of our ornament is going to be brighter, and the lower, did I say that right? Lower right-hand side of our ornament will be darker. So let me show you how we're going to attempt that. And everyone's is probably going to look a little different, and I love that about watching what you guys do in class. So there we go. Look at how nice and sharp that is. Then what I'm going to do after I finish this line is I'm going to add a little water and blend out that top section, because what I'm trying to do is keep part of the area white. That will just give a higher reflection and just show where the light source is coming from. So I'm going to blend that out a little bit. And then, oh, I forgot to tell you we need paper towels to kind of stamp out that area. So I'll show you how we're going to use that in a minute. Clean up this edge a little bit. You can see that the pigment already soaked into the paper, so I'm not able to blend that out as much as I want. I really like that effect, that blooming effect. So I have to decide if I'm gonna use that or not, or did you guys see my husband's finger pop in there a minute ago? Okay, let's darken this edge a little bit. And you can see now how that direction is showing here with the light source kind of coming up here from the left corner, coming down, creating that shadow. And then we're going to do this neat effect where, excuse me guys, girls, where we're going to add some water and do this kind of loose effect. Kind of loosen this up a bit so it's not so tediously, I don't know, hard edge along the edge, but it does make a nice circle. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Where's my paper towel? I need to blot a little paper towel in here to bring that white back. Dave's going to get that for me. Now I'm just going to sop up some of the extra heaviness of the paint, because I can add that later. If I leave this in, it's going to bloom in a way that I may not want it to, so it's going to make another highlight all of its own, which for this project we're not going to do the double highlight idea. So it's looking pretty good. Pretty happy with that. Let's see. Gonna kind of work that hanger in, give it some details, kind of pops a little bit more. You can see I've got the masking fluid up there. We can't remove that until the paint is 100% dry. So we're going to do that last. It's the absolute last thing we're going to do. Let's blend it in a little bit. And I'm just picking up the water, wiping off, cleaning off, adding water, wiping off water. Back and forth, back and forth. Go ahead and move over to the blue. Remember to wet the whole surface before you drop in that paint. I'm going around the hanger, the little metal hanger. We're going to use black for our hanger because it kind of resembles it being silver. Be really cool to put get a silver milk pen or a silver marker pen and color that in later and call it mixed media. But oops. I meant to use turquoise. Hang on. We're going to drop this in. Excuse me. These little fuzzy things that fly around and get stuck. Oh, I love how that spreads like that. Oops. I'll try and remember to fix that roundness. It was a little dry right there, so I'm having to work it in a little more. Let's get a little water. I like it to move by itself as much as possible. Now we'll just tie that all in. There's quite a few ways you can do this. There's not just one way. I've got two brushes going. There we go. Now watch how this just picks up that paint so I can bring in that highlight and make sure it's round. There we go. Gonna mix it in a little more. I think at this point I'm probably going to speed up this video. We've got another one we're going to do and I'm going to see how that works out. Let's get this one going. Work it in. Now I'm covering the white area, not really thrilled with that, so let's get some more tissue action going in there. See if we can round out this edge a little bit. It's looking a little better. Just trying to keep that shadow darker down here, so I'm going to move that in. We're going to come back and do a little loose painting for this, all three ornaments. I don't like moving my brush that direction, but sometimes you need to. Scoop that out. A little water. It's getting kind of blue in there. I'm going to try and scrub some of that out and pull it out again. It just kind of, you know, it's watercolor. It does what it wants to. That's better. Okay, keeping it round. Blot, 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 blot. Okay. Let's speed this up. Okay, we're going to add some water before we slide along the painted edge to make this cool loose effect. Just going to pick a little bit up. Now what I'm going to try and do is not have hard edges on the left and right of my bulb. So I'm going to scrub a little, get it going, try and keep it to the right. I'm going to keep all of them to the right. I didn't get much paint because I waited too long. I should have done this one before I started the blue. So you won't need to do this. You'll just do it from the beginning. And I'm going to keep the edge as dry as possible. I got a little blue on my brush. helps to keep track of what's the wash water and what's the rinse water. Now I'm pushing the water into itself. Darn brush. I'm pushing the water into itself, and because you avoid the hard edge. So you're just going to swipe it a little tiny bit. Again, here's that hard edge. Oh, blue is tough, you guys. Blue is tough. That pigment just wants to go right into the paper, and it's hard to get it to move away. So I'm trying to see if I can trick it. Not super. I think I'd take the time to move my brush somewhere else, but no. And then just move the water into itself to try and avoid that line. I got a little splash on there. We'll come back later and clean up those edges to make them have a nice shadow. So we're going to go ahead and fill in the pink one. Make sure that water is covering nicely all over. Let's drop some pink in here. Get that nice hard edge on the outside. Now I've already got my pink in that area, so I'm going to try and keep control of that so my highlight's nice and white. It's already looking round. I like that a lot. The napkin is a great idea for sopping up color and paint, but it also leaves a hard edge mark. So you want to blend that in with a little clean water and keep blotting and blending and blotting and blending, and you'll get something you like. Again, wet the area first before you touch the edge of that. Keep those edges, those hard edges off. It just looks a little more natural. If you like that hard edge, you can leave it. It's kind of cool. And you might get more paint out and it'll have a messier look, which is really cool too. I'm just trying to make it look a little messy. We're just going to do something a little different that we haven't done before. Oh, look at my blue. It's making a funky hard edge. I got to finish this pink. I'll get back to the blue. And get rid of this hard edge. That's pretty good. Sop up some of that extra color. See if I can fix that. I think it's too late. The pigment's really strong. Okay, now another thing I'm not fond of is just a flat color. So I'm going to add a little blue in here. Kind of mix up the colors. One, it kind of unites them and ties them together. But I'm also going to put a little blue in there. It's a nice cool color. It's just going to complement it. And I'm also going to put some purple in here. Forgot to do that little edge right there, so let's round it out. I'll try and come back later and add blue to that, not just the purple. And I'm cleaning my brush and adding more water to keep that edge from becoming a hard edge. The pink's a little trickier. I think I'm going to put a little blue in here because what does pink and blue make? See how that's cool? It brings coolness in. And I don't know what happened to that spot right there. I think water leaked in from the other side and pulled up some of that pink paint. So I'm going to try and fix that. Look at how that just pulls that pink around, makes it look more round. Now pink is also a warmer color. So being that the left is where the highlight's coming from, the light, the sun, the lamp, whatever it is, that's warm. So I'm going to add some pink in here to warm up where the light's coming from. I can do it over here too. So I'll just leave the pink one how it is. It's pink. Get this in here. Blue is tricky. Do your best to keep control of the blue because it just stains that paint so quickly. Even adding color on top of it can stain pretty quickly. So darken this edge a little bit. Soften it up. Contrast is good. Don't be afraid of contrast. Darken that up a bit. Can you guys see how it pops it a little more? Kind of makes it round. There's lots of different ways to do reflective and shadow colors to make things look round. This is just one way. We are beginning watercolor. There's lots of other ways that have a whole lot more detail to them. I just didn't want to mess with that. Put some cool blue into here. There we go. Now I'm going to do something really fun after the black. The black's a little tricky. So you want it to kind of look like silver. I lost my brain. Okay. I forgot. We're going to do the string first. So you're going to make a straight line. You don't want to bend your wrist to make the straight line. You want to use your whole arm from the shoulder out. And then on one side, just lay some water down and pull some of that color out. And it's just going to add to that technique of loose painting. One edge will be crisp and clean and hard, and then the other edge will be just softer. Isn't that cool? Look what that does. Now I'm going to have to add a whole lot more water. Reds and pinks are a really strong, they're strong colors. So I'm going to try and wash and scrub some of that extra out while still keeping that neat edge. Blend it out a little bit, get the fuzz off. Let's grab some blue. Grab some water. That's really spreading nicely too. I must not have had as much purple on my brush because the pink and the blue both responded well. Give that little messy look. Blot out the extra water because our last step, not the little hangers, but our last step is we're going to have to wet the whole paper. So now we're just going to try and make the eye, we're going to communicate to the eye that these are hangers, possibly silver, and we're just going to throw in some color, put in some highlights, some shadows, and it doesn't have to be exact. We're just going to show the light from the left and shadows on the right, just like the Christmas bulbs are, and just kind of give it your best shot. Just kind of blend it light to dark and play around with it, see what happens. Remember how light it dries, so this will probably dry pretty gray, and we'll come back and put some dark onto it. Add some more dark. Right now that's looking pretty round. And then we'll also rub off the resist, and that's going to keep some nice white highlights in there. Whoop, that was a little dark. Let's pull some of that off. You can do any kind of hanger that you want. I just chose one with 3 little prongs on it. I'm going to pull some of this water out. I got a little dark on that side. Whoop, too dark again. I have to come back and do that purple one. It's not as dark as the little ones. Pull some paint off. Now I'm putting the paint back on. Make it a little darker. Little dark in here. Let's get some of that off. Oops, sorry about the glare. Now see how light this dried? So we're going to come back in and bring a little more black in there. There are some nice techniques for how to get metal to look like it's shining. YouTube has a lot of good tutorials if you want to check those out. I think this is working pretty well. You can actually take a little color from the bulb that's next to it as though it's reflecting onto it, and throw that into it too if you'd like. This one's looking pretty good, that little guy. Now we forgot to, I just realized, fill this in a little bit. So let's bring that up there and wash it in. Let's add a little more detail. I don't know. I didn't notice those little highlights there. Add some purple. A little water. Blend that in. Oh, we forgot the bows. So let's darken this one along with the other ones. It is bigger. We need to make it a little thicker. It's more realistic. Oops, can't do that one. That one's still wet. Let's try the pink one. A little bow, little knot, whatever you want. Just kind of sketch it in there. Little bow, little knot. Gotta let that dry a little bit. That one turned out like a bow. Now we're going to put these little pieces on here as protectors. Gonna need a bigger one for that one, but for the purpose of the video, we'll just leave it. Now we're gonna mix in the paint of the green. It got kind of dry. Mix that up, and I'm gonna just use a clean water spray bottle and move some water around the paper, and then just drop, splotch the green on there as though, you know, to kind of represent the tree. If these ornaments were hanging on a tree, and of course, paper will curl when it gets wet. So now the paper's curling. For class, I will find some thicker paper, or maybe some cardboard. Maybe I can find some plastic. Now I'm going to go ahead and spritz it because it's a little splotchy. We've done a lot of splattering already in some other projects, so I'm going to kind of smear it, splotch it, move it around a little bit, sep it up. It's pretty drippy. Now you're going to twist and turn, blot, twist, turn, blot, twist, turn, blot, twist, turn, so that you don't get the same markings. If you just go up, down, up, down, up, down, you're going to get the same little marking like a stamp, a repetitious stamp. So you want to move your tissue around the whole time. And just keep wetting it for where you want it to be a little more splotchy or less splotchy. Now we just need to let it dry. Oh, it's dry. Remember that watercolor always dries lighter. So if you want it darker, you can always go in and do another coat of splotchiness. I hope you liked it. Oh, I almost forgot. Here is what it looks like. When you take off the resist, you rub it off when it's dry. I had to wait for the whole painting to dry before I could rub this off. And here is what it looks like when it's dry, our finished product. I really hope you like this one. It's going to be fun to play around with some ideas. Okay, see you soon.